gotta move it to the max. You gotta move it in the soul. You gotta move it, move it, move it. Move it to the max.
The new Nexon EV Max moves you to the max.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tata Crucible, the Campus Edition 2022. It's time for us to get started. Please welcome your host, Ms. Rashmi Furtado.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to each and every one of you to Tata Crucible Campus Quiz 2022. This is Rashmi Furtado and here we are beginning the first wild card of the 7th cluster, which is the cluster from Chhattisgarh. And this amazing quiz has been going on wonderfully well in its digital avatar, with the viewership of this quiz crossing 5 million on the internet. And that's the campus edition alone. Along with the corporate edition, the viewership is over 7 million. So it's been doing amazingly well. And this time we have already started the new season of the Tata Crucible Campus Quiz. This is the 2022 edition of this quiz. Each of these clusters, we have 24 in all. All of these clusters consist of 2 wildcards and 1 cluster final. And here we are beginning the first wild card of the cluster number 7, which is the Chhattisgarh cluster. Let me quickly introduce our finalists to you and then get into the rules of the game. Our first finalist for this wild card here today is Ditya from GEC Raipur. There's Ditya for you. Following Ditya is Lumesh from NIT Raipur. Up next is Gaurav from IIIT Raipur, Shivansh from NIT Raipur, and completing our lineup here today is Ayush from IIM Raipur. We also had Tushar from IIIT Raipur, who should have joined us, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. But we continue with this wild card and now we will move on into the rules of the game. 10 questions is what I have for all of them. All of them are on the buzzers. Single attempt per question only. Multiple attempts are not allowed. +1 if they get it right and -1 if they get it wrong. Top 3 scorers from all of them will move on to the cluster final. The goal here is to qualify to that cluster final and not necessarily to win this wild card. Each of them get about 5 seconds of time after I've asked a question to press the buzzer. If they don't do so, I will move on to the next question. The previous one would be invalid. And I will wait for about 3 to 4 seconds for them to answer me once they have pressed the buzzer. If they take too long, they will end up getting a negative. Rest of the rules have been explained to them already in detail, so let me not get into it here in this wild card. The fair play protocols, of course, are on your screen. We take them very seriously here at Tata Crucible. For all your audience, the buzzer indicator light will not be appearing during the wildcard, but I'm here to let you know who has pressed the buzzer. So let's quickly start this wildcard and identify the top 3 scorers who will qualify to that cluster final. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the first question of this wildcard, here we go. Sridhar Vembu is the CEO. Oh, Shivansh, go ahead.
Zoho Corporation.
+1 to you, absolutely right. Zoho giving Shivansh a +1. He's opening his account for the first question of this wildcard. He didn't even allow me to complete the question, ladies and gentlemen, which means he is super prepared. Let's see what happens throughout this wildcard. Question number 2 coming up. Which Indian billionaire started out mixing detergents in his backyard and selling them door to door in his bicycle? Shivansh, again, go ahead.
It was Dhirubhai Ambani.
Oh, taking a negative is Shivansh. The answer I was looking for is Karsan Bhai Patel from the Nirma fame. That is what I was looking for. Had you waited a little longer, I did have options for you as well. So then maybe it would have been easier for you to narrow it down to the right answer. But nevertheless, it does not really matter much because he's back to nil. And it's always easier to get into the positives from nil. And we still have 8 more questions to go. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 3. Which of these persons is the founder of Info Edge India Group? Your options: Ronnie Screwvala or Sanjeev Bikhchandani. Lumesh, go ahead. Quickly, Lumesh, you are on the buzzer. Unmute yourself.
Sanjeev Bikhchandani.
Could you repeat the answer, Lumesh?
Sanjeev Bikhchandani.
Getting a +1 on that is Lumesh. Sanjeev Bikhchandani is the answer I was looking for. Info Edge India, the one who owns Naukri.com and Jeevan Sathi, both of them, and that gives Lumesh a +1. Time for the 4th question, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Yogesh Kothari is the chairman and managing director of which chemical giant? Your answer options: Tata Chemicals or Alkyl Amines Chemicals. Chemical giant. Alright, I'll help you out. Your answer options are Tata Chemicals or Alkyl Amines Chemicals. Shivansh, go ahead.
Tata Chemicals.
Oh, taking a negative again is Shivansh. I think he's in a bit of a hurry. Taking a negative, the answer I was looking for is Alkyl Amines Chemicals. Let's move on to question number 5. Which of these organizations is Nandan Nilekani not associated with? Your options: Wipro or Infosys. Shivansh, go ahead.
This is Wipro.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Getting a +1 on that is Shivansh. He's back to nil. Honestly, if he had stuck to the right answers and not taken negative, he would have been leading the quiz. But that's how quizzers are. I mean, that's how quizzing is. You've got to take your chances. So I don't really blame his strategy as far as the game is concerned. Let's move on to question number 6. Which of these is not a book co-authored by eminent management guru C.K. Prahlad? Your options: Redefining Healthcare or Competing for the Future. Oh, no one going on it despite me giving the answer options. Ayush, go ahead.
Redefining healthcare.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Redefining Healthcare is what I was looking for. I honestly thought when I said, first of all, C.K. Prahlad is well known. Once you move into your colleges, you should know C.K. Prahlad. And second of all, once I give you an answer option saying redefining healthcare and I tell you management guru for C.K. Prahlad, you should be able to work with the rule of elimination and work out the answer. Quizzing is not always about knowing the right answer. You should be able to use the rule of elimination and arrive at the right answer. Let's move on. Ayush getting a +1 on the last question, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to question number 7. Pixel 6a is a launch from which company? Lumesh, go ahead.
Google.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Lumesh getting a +1 on that one. Moving on to question number 8. Which one of these brands is from Germany? Your options: Tesla or BMW. Gaurav, go ahead.
BMW.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. BMW, the answer I was looking for. 2 more questions remaining, ladies and gentlemen. Let me quickly tell you where our contestants stand. As of now, Gaurav and Ayush are both on +1 and Lumesh is on +2. Lumesh has been very careful. He's only pressed the buzzer when he knew what the answer is and he's not really taken chances. Shivansh has taken his chances. But I have 2 more questions to go. He still has a chance to make it through to the cluster final, and so does Ditya. So let's see what happens. The penultimate question of this wild card. Which is the world's largest car manufacturer by 2020 total revenues? I'll help you out. Your answer options: Volkswagen or Tata Motors. Shivansh, go ahead.
Volkswagen.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Volkswagen, the answer I was looking for. The last question, ladies and gentlemen. Well, at this point in time, looks like Lumesh is pretty much through unless he decides to take a negative for the last question, which I highly doubt. He's smiling there. But one more question. Let's see what happens. I have Gaurav, Ayush and Shivansh on +1. Ditya on nil. If she gets a +1 on the last question, then we have a 4-way tiebreaker. Let's see what happens. Question number 10. Which of these is not a book by eminent management guru Michael E. Porter? Your answer options: Competitive Strategy or The End of Competitive Advantage. Ayush, go ahead.
The End of Competitive Advantage.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. The End of Competitive Advantage is the answer I was looking for. Looks like Ayush knows his books and authors very well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, after completing the 10 questions, as of now, we have 2 of them who have clearly qualified into that cluster final. Lumesh from NIT Raipur and Ayush from IIM Raipur, both of them with 2 points each have qualified to that cluster final. But now we have a tiebreaker since both Gaurav and Shivansh are on +1 and I have only 1 slot remaining in that cluster final. Let me quickly fetch my tiebreaker questions and then we'll get cracking with the tiebreaker. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a tiebreaker now. Let me start with the first tiebreaker question. Here we go. What is the full form of NAV in mutual funds? Oh, before I give the option, Shivansh, go ahead.
Net asset value.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Net asset value, the answer I was looking for. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, Shivansh from NIT Raipur has received 2 points and has qualified into that cluster final. Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this wild card. But don't go anywhere. It's time for us to binge on an audience question. So let me quickly get my audience question for you. The largest moon of Saturn is a Tata brand too. Which one am I talking about? Let me repeat that question for you. The largest moon of the planet Saturn is a Tata brand too. Which one am I talking about? It does not matter which platform you're watching this quiz on. Go ahead and key in your answers in the chat box. And if you're quick and correct, you stand to win a lot of exciting prizes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining this first wild card of Cluster 7. The second wild card is coming up, so don't go anywhere and join me in that wild card. Take care.
अब डिस्काउंट किसे अच्छा नहीं लगता है जी? खाने के बाद एक एक्स्ट्रा पूरी। आहा, अरे दवाइयाँ बेटा जी, अब भी करता हूँ बाबूजी। इतनी बचत बेटा जी, और भरोसेमंद भी बाबूजी। It's 1 mg। हो गया जी।
हो गया जी?
नहीं जी, आप खिलाओ जी।
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tata Crucible, the Campus Edition 2022. It's time for us to get started. Please welcome your host, Ms. Rashmi Furtado.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tata Crucible 2022, the campus edition of this quiz. This is Rashmi Furtado and here we are in the 7th cluster of this amazing quiz, about to begin the second wild card of this cluster. For all of you who have been watching this quiz in this digital avatar, we have had over 5 million people watching this quiz digitally on the internet, and that is the campus edition alone. Along with the corporate edition, The numbers go over 7 million. So that is how well this quiz has been doing in the past couple of years. The entire quiz is down to 24 clusters, and each of these clusters consists of 2 wildcards and 1 cluster final. So finally today we are on the 7th cluster and the second wildcard of that cluster. Time for me to introduce our finalists to you, and then we will get into the rules of the game. Our finalists for this second wildcard, Abhinav from NIT Raipur. Alright, that's Abhinav for you. Following Abhinav is Nikhil from IIM Raipur. Up next is Aditya from NIT Raipur. Kanika from SMVDU Jammu and Kashmir. And completing this lineup for us here today is Priyanshi from NIT Raipur. Alright, we did have Twinkle from IIM Raipur who should have joined this wildcard here today, but unfortunately she had some technical issues and couldn't really make it to the wildcard. The show must go on, so we continue and move on into the rules of the game. 10 questions is what I have for all of them. All the questions are on the buzzer. Single attempt per question only, multiple attempts are not allowed. +1 if they get it right, -1 if they get it wrong. Top 3 scorers from this wildcard will make it through to that cluster final. We've already identified the first 3 finalists from the previous wildcard, and now it's time for us to identify the second 3 finalists. They have about 5 seconds of time to press the buzzer once I have asked a question. If none of them do so in those 5 seconds, then I will move on to the next question and the previous question will be invalid. They also have about 3 to 4 seconds to unmute themselves and give me the answer once they have pressed the buzzer. They're not allowed to take too long, because if they do so, they will end up getting a negative. Rest of the rules have been explained to them already, so I will not get into the details. Nothing appears on the screen, so all of you will have to listen to what I have to say very carefully. But of course, the fair play protocols of this quiz are right there on the screen for you. We take these protocols very seriously at Tata Crucible. And audience, my dear audience, the buzzer indicator light will not be appearing for you, but I'm here to let you know who has pressed the buzzer. Time for us to start the wild card here today and identify the other 3 who will join or go into the cluster final of this 7th cluster. Alright, good luck to all of you. May I please request all of you to move your phones into camera angle. The first question of this wild card, we are opening the buzzers. Please be very careful. Question number 1 of this wild card, here we go. Which of these companies is the largest two-wheeler manufacturer by number of units produced in the world? Your options, TVS Motors or Hero MotoCorp. Nikhil is on the buzzer. Go ahead, Nikhil.
Is it TVS Motor Corp?
Oh, taking a negative on that. He said TVS Motor Corp. It's actually TVS Motors or Hero Motor Corp. But since he said TVS, he gets a negative on that one. The answer I was looking for is Hero Motor Corp. Hero Motor Corp would have given him a +1. However, it's only the first question. He can easily come back into the positives. Let's move on to the second question. Here we go. Deming Prize is given for contributions in the field of what? Deming Prize. A huge name. Alright, 5 seconds of time is up. No one going on the buzzer. I really thought Deming would actually set the buzzers ablaze very quickly. The answer I was looking for is Total Quality Management. Even if you had told me quality management, I would have been lenient enough and given you the point, but no one going on that one. TQM or Total Quality Management is the answer I was looking for. Deming Prize, of course, named after the person, Edward Deming, who's a huge name in the field of TQM. Let's move on to question number 3. What is the full form of GST? Nikhil again, go ahead.
Is it Goods Service Tax?
Goods and Services Tax, absolutely right, giving Nikhil a +1, and he negates the -1 he had taken earlier. Well, time for us to move on to the next question. Question number 4. The ISO standards are for what? Your answer options: quality improvement and management or food safety standards. Priyanshi, go ahead.
It's for food safety standards.
Oh, taking a negative is Priyanshi. The answer is actually quality improvement and management. For the food safety standards, we have another organization which is FSSAI. If you see most of these packaged goods, you'll be able to see their hallmark on the packaging, usually on the back of the cover, and FSSAI is into food safety standards. All right, taking a negative on that is Priyanshi. Let's move on to question number 5. We also make steel was the tagline of which steel manufacturer's advertisement? We also make steel. All right, I'll help you out. Your answer options: Jindal Steel or Tata Steel. Kanika, go ahead.
Is it Tata Steel?
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Tata Steel is the answer I was looking for. They came up with this tagline that we also make steel, which I thought was absolutely brilliant tagline and promotion there. Let's move on to question number 6. Which of these is not a washing machine detergent brand in India? Your options: Henkel Matic Front Load or Ariel Matic Top Load. Aditya, go ahead.
Henkel.
+1 to you. Absolutely right, Aditya. Henkel Matic Front Load, giving him a +1 on that. They actually do not have a washing machine detergent brand, so he's absolutely right on that. Let's move on to question number 7. Which company was acquired by Whirlpool in 1995 to mark its entry into the Indian refrigerator market? Oh, no one going on this one. Very old brand from India. All right, 5 seconds of time is up. The answer I was looking for, ladies and gentlemen, is Kelvinator India. Kelvinator India. All right. Looks like Priyanshi is regretting not pressing the buzzer there. You should take your chances. I mean, you have to be among the top 3 scorers to qualify into that cluster final. So you need to learn to take your chances. Let's move on to question number 8. Which is the largest paint company in India based on total sales? Priyanshi, go ahead.
Asian Paints.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Getting a +1 is Priyanshi, and she too negated that -1 she had taken earlier. Last 2 questions remaining, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you what the score is. As of now, I only have Aditya and Kanika, both of them on 1 point each. Nikhil and Priyanshi have taken a +1 and a -1, but they're back into nil. 2 more questions remaining. At this point in time, if if Aditya and Kanika even choose to stay quiet, maybe they have a chance. Let's see what happens. As of now, all of them have a chance to qualify into that cluster final. The penultimate question of this wild card. In economics, business and cost accounting, what do we call when the total cost and total revenue are equal? Nikhil, go ahead.
Is it break even?
+1 to you, Nikhil. Absolutely right. Break even is what I was looking for. You just had to make sense out of the meaning or the description that I gave. And I think Nikhil is good at that. Break even, giving him a +1. The last question of this wild card. Which of these is not true for a franchisee in the franchise business model? Your answer options: pays low royalty to franchisor or can use logo of franchisor. Not true. Abhinav, go ahead. Quickly, Abhinav.
The first option.
The first option is what he says and is absolutely right. Pays a low royalty to franchisor is the right option, and that takes all of them into a tiebreaker if I'm not wrong. Let me quickly tell you what the scores are. Well, we have Abhinav, Aditya and Kanika, all of them on +1 along with Nikhil. So we have 4 of them on +1 and I only have 3 slots in that cluster final. So it's time for me to break the tie and figure out who are the 3 who will qualify into that cluster final. Let me quickly get my tiebreaker questions and then figure out who will qualify. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to break the tie and identify the top 3 scorers who will qualify into that cluster final. The first tiebreaker question, ladies and gentlemen, which of these institutions has a hand in regulating mutual funds in India? The answer options, AMFI or TRI. Aditya's gone on the buzzer. Go ahead, Aditya.
It's ANFI.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. He gets that right and qualifies into that cluster final. Moving on to the second tiebreaker question here today. Our Iceberg is Melting is a book written by whom? Your answer options, John Cotter or Spencer Johnson. It's a huge book from the space of change management. Oh, no one going on this one. All right. The answer I was looking for is John Cotter. John Cotter is a very good book actually. Something along the lines of Who Moved My Cheese. John Cotter would have given one of them a +1. All right, let's move on to another question here today for the tiebreaker. All right, question number 3 from the tiebreaker. Here we go. What modern term comes from the roots of a Norse word bakki, meaning bench? Abhinav, go ahead.
Bank.
+1 to you, absolutely right. So Abhinav with 2 points joins Aditya into that cluster final. You've identified 2 of them who have made it, and now it's time for us to identify the last person who will join them in that cluster final. The next tiebreaker question, ladies and gentlemen. Which of these is not done by an investment banker? Your options, help corporates raise funds in capital markets or take deposits from their corporate clients. Nikhil, go ahead. Quickly, Nikhil.
Take deposits from the corporate clients.
+1 to you, absolutely right. Take deposits from their corporate clients is the answer I was looking for. So Nikhil has also joined Abhinav and Aditya into that cluster final. So ladies and gentlemen, the 3 of them who have made it through to the cluster final are Abhinav from NIT Raipur, Nikhil from IIM Raipur and Aditya from NIT Raipur again. Ladies and gentlemen, time for us to bench on an audience question. Your question for the day. The 5th planet from the sun in our solar system is also a brand offering. It's a brand offering from TVS. Which one am I talking about? Let me repeat that for you. The 5th planet from the sun in our solar system is also a brand offering from TVS. Which brand am I talking about? Whichever platform you're watching this quiz on, go ahead and key in your answers in the chat box. If you're quick and correct, you stand to win exciting prizes. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. The cluster final is coming up. We have identified all the 6 finalists. Believe me, the cluster final is going to be an amazing one and you will definitely enjoy it. We will see you at the cluster final. Take care.
Friends, put your hands together to welcome on stage Quizmaster Big Brain.
A big hello and a warm welcome to each and every one of you. This is me, Big Brain, and well, we're on Cluster 7 of Tata Crucible Campus Edition 2022. We've seen some remarkable rounds as we've arrived at our 6 first champions. The 7th one is what we will identify today from what happens to be a Raipur final, though this is for the entire state of Chhattisgarh. But traditionally, we've got 2 institutes which are always at loggerheads. The story is no different today. We've got IIM Raipur and NIT Raipur battling against each other for who's going to be the 7th representative in the top 24 of India. But as we build on Tata Crucible, and as we do that digitally, it's also amazing and humbling that this quiz over the last couple of years that we've started doing the digital avatar has had more than 7 million people watching it. You heard me right. 7 million people. That's a staggering number to follow a quiz competition in India. But we're truly humbled, Rashmi and me, for being part of this as the hosts, and with all these amazing sharp minds from across the campuses battling with each other to be in that top 24 this year. 30 seconds is their time duration. 75 the value of a right answer, as we celebrate 75 years of Indian independence through Tata Crucible. Before we move any further on the game itself, it's time for me to introduce our 6 finalists in our cluster, which is Cluster 7. Qualifying as our first finalist here today, representing NIT from Raipur, please welcome Lumesh. Welcome to you. Neighbouring Lumesh as our second contender from the same college is Shivansh. Welcome on board. Neighbouring him are the big challengers from IIM Raipur. First among them is Ayush. Welcome to you. Cutting back to NIT Raipur, we have our next contender, Abhinav. Welcome on board. And neighbouring Abhinav is Nikhil, also from, we've got Nikhil coming up. Okay, let me do that again. Coming up next, we've got Nikhil representing IIM Raipur. So he joins Ayush in challenging all the NIT youngsters. And completing our lineup from NIT is Aditya. Welcome to you. Those then, ladies and gentlemen, are 6 contenders here today for the Chhattisgarh champion and our 7th contender in the nation's top 24. As we go about literally from the length and breadth of this nation to identify the best 24 minds in India's campuses for business quizzing. This Tata Crucible, we're basically looking at building capacity among India's youngsters on grit, guts and glory. So we're going to begin with the first frontier of our game here today. The first interface for them to start battling. Time to find your grit. Here it is. 6 questions in the first frontier to challenge you. 75 the value, 5 seconds the time. Starting with the first one on your screen. Hold your buzzers up, please, contenders. And if you are ready and we've unlocked the buzzers, the first poser of this contest coming up on your screen now. The Indian Olympic Association has a long history with the Tata family. It was a Tata man who was the first president of the Indian Olympic Association. A great supporter as well. Who are we talking about? 5 seconds of time. Nobody going on the buzzer on that one. The first answer going past our contenders. I was looking for Sir Dorabji Tata, a man who really supported Indian hockey in those days, got them to play the Olympics, and of course built the Indian Olympic Association to a great strength. As we move to the second one on your screens, now, This is the logo of I Am Amritsar. Why did they change it to this over the last couple of years? This is the logo of I Am Amritsar, but over the last couple of years they changed it to the one on the other side. Why? Why did I Am Amritsar do this to their logo? Think logical. What were they conveying? Oh, tough one for our contestants here today from Chhattisgarh. The two IIM students there, so they don't know what happened at Amritsar with the other IIMs, and the answer is very simple. IIM Amritsar took the lead to actually educate people on social distancing. Their logo was following social distancing norms, so they moved the pieces of the logo apart. Very interesting brand element to celebrate or to educate people on social distancing. As we go to the third one, and while we are on this, social distancing, of course, has been so important, as is health and hygiene. Wellness of people, wellness of society is so important. Tata 1MG, which is one of our supporters here, is a strong advocate of that. And we're truly delighted to have them on board. Here's the next one, and you got to give me an overall answer on your screen. Here it is. All these will lead you to one streaming service. Which one? Nikhil's gone for it. Yes, Nikhil. What do you think is the answer?
Is it Netflix?
Well played on Netflix. He'll score the first 75 here today in this quiz. Absolutely right. Two of them who gave you Netflix along with the Nescafe ad, which basically links you into Netflix. Beautifully played. On to the next one on your screens now. It's a famous Chinese. Oh, Shivansh has gone for it. Yes, Shivansh. Yeah.
HONQHONGQI, Hong Kui.
Minus 75 to you. You stopped me before I could continue with the question. It's an automobile giant. Geely, the answer that I was looking for. He lose a 75 on that is Shivansh. As we move to the next one on your screens now. This is an important brand in almost every home. Protects from every pest is what they claim. What spray or pesticide are we talking about? Powerful brand and an equally funny campaign. It's a very popular spray. Aditya's gone for it. Yes, Aditya? Hit. Oh, well. He went for the modern world, and these are huge, iconic brands. Again, a minus 75 to him. This quiz is starting differently. One with a positive, two with negatives. It's Baygon spray. Well, Baygon has been such a powerful brand, especially in our kitchens and toilets. Final one in the first frontier on your screen now. Which sports network claims men can spend all day, every day on their channel? Sports network channel. Lumesh is giving it a shot. Yeah, Lumesh.
Star Sports.
Minus 75. Everyone taking their chances. Well, you went for Star Sports. It's like a Pepsi versus Coke answer. The answer, ESPN. I said Sports Network, giving you a clue there onto the ESPN. But early days here today, well, I need to tell you where they stand, even if it's in a reverse direction. So we'll take a look at the binge board in just a moment. But all that after this very short break. Stay with us.
एक सजेशन दूं जी।
क्या जी?
अपने टाटा प्ले के साथ बिंज ऐप ले लो जी।
क्यों जी?
आपके फेवरेट ओटीटी एप्स एक ऐप पे जी, मतलब नो अलग अलग पेमेंट, सिर्फ वन सब्सक्रिप्शन जी, और 12 ऐप्स के सारे कंटेंट इजी सर्च पे, मतलब नो ढूंढना, ओनली देखना जी।
मतलब टाइम ही टाइम जी।
थोड़ा हमारे लिए भी निकाल लेना जी।
अब टाटा प्ले के साथ लीजिए बिंज ऐप।
Well, ladies and gentlemen, early days in this quiz, nothing much happening. Everyone's playing cautiously. So let me do one audience questions before we take a look at who's binging today on our binge board. But for you, all the audience watching this, wherever you're watching it, just use the chat box to key in the answer. If you're quick and correct, you stand to win a prize. Here's the first one. Which famous Nobel-winning institution would you associate to Henri Dunant, Jean-Henri Dunant? All you got to do is key in the answers as we get back to this final. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're with me, Pig Brain, watching the campus edition for 2022 Tata Crucible. Before we move any further with this Raipur final, here's a first look at the binge board. Who's on the binge today? Well, three of them in the different direction. One of them with 75. He's ahead, and that's Nikhil. All of them will correct their positions very quickly as we move to the second frontier. Rely on your guts. Literally, you need to do that. Here it is. 5 seconds the time, 75 the value, everything remains the same. It's the questions that change, the pressure that changes. As we begin with the first one on your screen now. It's a very famous Tata company, not in the education business, but they are in the finance business to help students with scholarships and financial guidance for parents. From class 11 diploma polytechnic, they've got today a very important punk scholarship. It's like giving you the wings to realize your dreams. Is which famous Tata company? Lumesh.
Tata Capital.
Well played. Extremely well played. Good answer. 75 to him. He quickly erases the negative that he took. On to the second one. Overall answer matters. On your screen, here it is. It's a huge group led by the Munjals. Someone's gone for it. It's Shivansh.
This is the Hero Group. Hero Motocorp.
Well played. He's got that absolutely right, and he'll get a 75 to his credit for that answer. Hero also supports a lot of soccer in India, and here's the next one after he's got a 75. It's not a typical answer, it's a join the dots and figure out a common connection. Here's your question. Ministry of Crab, Dine Fine, Elevens and Dansu Cafe. What do all of these have in common in terms of ownership patterns? Very interesting question. It tells you where people make investments and what type of people. The Ministry of Crab, Dine Fine, Elevens and Dansu all have something in common in terms of investments. What? It's a very workable question if you apply your head to it. 5 seconds of time lapsing, nobody going for that tough question here. And the answer that I was looking for is these are all restaurant businesses started by cricketers. Well, fit as they may be, they seem to be putting all their money into food and food businesses. And that includes Sangakkara, Kapil Dev, Virat Kohli, all interesting people putting their money into the business of food. Zahir Khan too. I think Dine Fine Resto is what his restaurant is called. On to the next one. We've got a tightish start here. Let's see how it's going to shape up. On your screen, here's the next one coming up now. All of this will lead you to a very famous company. Lumesh has gone for it. Yeah, Lumesh?
Apple.
Sorry?
Apple.
Apple. He's going on Foxconn and thinking it's Apple. He's made the mistake out there, and that's the reason I had air purifiers also put there. I don't think you'll find Apple in air purification. The answer that I was looking for was Sharp. Sharp is a huge company which actually started initially as a Japanese brand, Honhai, and negative to him on that again, so he goes to minus 75 after recovering ground. On to the next one. Careful, don't just buzz. Question on your screen now. What does BEV stand for in the modern world of automobiles? A BEV. EVs are something everyone knows. What's a BEV? Because there are different types of EVs now. What's a BEV? We've got a couple of engineers sitting in there. Someone going to take a shot at it. Aditya's expression says he may know half of it. He's nodding and saying, no, I don't. Oh, nobody? Aditya's taking the chance. Well, yes, Aditya.
Bioelectronic.
Oh,
Biohydrogen.
God, he took a shot. His electric vehicle part was right. It's very, very simple. It's a battery-enabled electric vehicle. Well, when you hear the answers, these are easy, but most people will think bio because you think fuel. That's the mistake we make as a human mind. But ladies and gentlemen, since we are on the topic of electric vehicles, and we've got Nexon, which is one of our supporters this year, it's a brilliant vehicle. I personally drive one. It's outstanding. It's an experience of a lifetime. If you don't have one, get one. If you're getting a first one, get an electric one. Well, for the moment, let's move on with this quiz. The quiz is really getting tighter and tighter because people are making what one would say unsolicited errors or unforced errors. Here's the next one on screen now. Which portal, extremely important to India's hunting for something, yahan search khatam karo. Nikhil's gone for it. Yes, Nikhil.
Is it housing.com?
Well played. He's got another 75 to his kitty. He's scoring only when he's very sure, and I think he's got himself to 150 with that. And from IIM Raipur, he seems to be in the lead comfortably as of now. As we are moving on to the next one on your screens, here's the next question appearing now. It's a very famous campaign for a light version of a brand. The stars are so important to the brand's identity. It's a light version of a brand. You can't really miss it from the campaign and the dog. Spuds. Someone's trying. Shivansh it is. Go ahead, Shivansh.
I'll guess Budweiser.
Is correct. He'll get that right on Budweiser. Is absolutely right. He gets himself a 75. As we go on to the next one on your screen now. This is a car that was unveiled at the 87th Geneva Motor Show about 5 years ago, called Racemo. It led to the designing of a couple of other cars that have come out recently. Which company pioneered sports design for normal commercial vehicles? It was a new concept at the time. Nobody on the buzzer on that one, no one wanting to take a chance. Sometimes when we think of such design-led creations, we invariably think Ferrari, we think BMW. Well, did you think Tata Motors? Absolutely. The Tatas have started bringing in sporty designs. It's also reflecting, of course, in the Nexons and all the other vehicles that you now see on the roads from the Tatas. Superbly designed. It's like design thinking in automobile engineering. The engineers are keeping quiet on all these. That's strange. Here's the next one coming on screen now. The Creators Club is entry to which sportswear brand? You can crack that. The Creators Club is a phenomenal one for a sportswear brand that takes on a huge global giant every time with its creative advertising and, of course, the stripes of creativity. Shivansh is giving it a shot. Yeah, Shivansh.
With stripes, I will go with Adidas.
Clever. Clever. He read into what I said. He read between the lines on what I said. The stripes of creativity will lead him to the stripes of Adidas. At 75, I think puts him on par with Nikhil. I'm not too sure on my mental math, but I think that's the route it's going. So it's looking like Shivansh versus Nikhil, but we've got a couple more questions and then I'll show you the scorecard. For the moment, here's the next one on screen now. This is an extremely important group in the consulting business. This simple metrics redefined their life. Nikhil's gone for it. Yes, Nikhil? Your mic is off,
BCG.
Nikhil. Yeah?
BCG, Boston Consulting Group.
Absolutely well played. Absolutely well played. He gets a 75. Takes him past the 200 mark. The Boston Consulting Group with Bruce Doolin. Those are my B school days of memory. Nothing's changed on the grid, of course. It still remains the same BCG metrics. As we go to the next one on your screens now. Many corporates, Shivansh, super fast.
Right, so this is the logo of Sodexo Group.
Clever. Very clever answer. Very fast on the buzzer. 75 to him. He's really playing tooth and neck with Nikhil as we go to the final one in this frontier, and then we'll take a look at the scores. Here's the last one in the segment on screen now. Originally known as Multitech, it was co-founded by Stan Shin, the great man from the world of technology. It's an electronic corporation from Taiwan, extraordinarily respected across the world. They decided to change their name to a simple 4-letter word that powers the brand. Nikhil's taking a shot at it.
Asus, ASUS, Asus.
Asus is what he goes for. Minus 75. The answer is Acer, A-C-E-R. 4 letters in the wrong direction. A crucial 75 to lose. We'll take a look at what impact that has on the binge board in just a moment. On the other side of this very, very quick break. You stay with us. Two segments done in an important cluster. It seems to be like a head-to-head battle between Shivansh from NIT Raipur, Nikhil from IIT Raipur. Well, before we take a look at that break which is coming up, I have a couple more audience questions for you to win prizes, and then we'll get back to the final round of this really close contest. Here's my question to you. In the dark blue sky you keep, for you never shut your eye till he is in the sky. These are unknown lines of which famous song or poem? I'll repeat the lines for you. In the dark blue sky you keep, for you never shut your eye till he is in the sky. What are the words that come to your mind when you listen to this poem? Key in your answer, you could win a prize. As we go to our last question for you in the audience, something interesting happened in the United States when the Popeye cartoon got introduced. So Popeye came into existence and the market shares of something went up by as much as 30 to 35%, or the sales. What am I talking about that one single character, Popeye, contributed to a burst in sales in the United States? It's a cute answer. If you can get that right, you stand to win a prize as we get back to this final from Raipur. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching a riveting Raipur final with me, Pig Brain here, the campus edition for 2022 Tata Crucible. Well, why do I say riveting final? Here's what the binge board says. Who's binging today? Well, Shivansh is on 225 and in the lead, courtesy the mistake Nikhil made. So he's on 150. They are the two who are really on that binge card. The others, I think, will catch up on the final frontier as we move in. And the advice is simple. Well, you don't have too much time left, so all you got to do is go for glory. Here it is. 75 the value, the final 6 questions. But here today at Tata Crucible, ladies and gentlemen, and all you youngsters watching this, it's time for us to celebrate 75 years of Indian independence. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. In our own way at Tata Crucible, we salute 75 years of contribution to Indian business by brands, products, advertising campaigns, leaders, industry creators. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in our own way again, with our questions that basically spell out the beautiful journeys these brands, people and products have made to ensure the economy of India has stood up for 75 years and the foundation is brilliant for another 75 and more. So the final 6 questions are all about India. 75 the value, 5 seconds the time. 6 questions, starting with the first one on your screen now. This is an important foundation into education and a lot of other areas. Primarily, Abhinav's going for it. Yes, Abhinav.
It's the Premchand Foundation.
The Premchand Foundation will give you a minus 75. Well, this is the Azim Premji Foundation and it's Wipro's foundation in that sense. He gets a minus 75. I don't know if he had Premji in mind and said Premchand. Premchand is a writer, my friend, and Premji would be happy to be a writer someday. But the Azim Premji Foundation has been doing a lot of CSR work. Well, talk CSR, you always think of the Tatas, but there are others who do their bit too. Tatas, of course, are huge in their CSR objectives. But for the moment, a minus 75, a misfire coming in there from Abhinav. On to the next one on your screens now. A huge brand from central India based on Ayurveda was created in the field of personal care and cosmetics. It has always stood the test of time using the turmeric variety. Which famous brand are we talking about? Nikhil's gone for it again.
Is it Vico?
Well played. Well played. He's back to that 225, I think, back on top with Shivans. So he's quickly regained ground with 4 questions still to go. Nikhil from IIM Raipur, Shivans from NIT Raipur. Head-on battle is how I see it. As we go to question number 3 on your screens now. As this great movie unfolded, a brand which has spent a lot of time in India from the United States, Shivansh.
Airtel.
Minus 75. Oh, pressure beginning to tell there. He gets a minus 75. He did not even allow me to get there with the question. And the answer that I was looking for, I would have led you to in the association, of course, with Ranveer Singh, is KFC. So a minus 75. You should have waited for the question. There's no way you'll crack it from that picture, except that it is such a memorable picture for young Indians. Here's the next one on your screen now. Let's call it a wrap. A big contest all over India with musician and rapper Baba Sehgal. Which brand would you associate to this huge campaign on campaigns of India in 75 years? Rap like Baba Sehgal and win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds ticking away. No one's gone for that. Everyone's being careful, especially Shivansh and Nikhil. Shivansh does not want another negative. That is sensible of him. And Nikhil wants to be sure before he hits. The answer, though, is Medi Buddy, a huge one which went after Baba Sehgal, or creating the next Baba Sehgal. 2 questions to go. The pressure will build after the next one for sure. The final question can be like a last ball 6 that you require. But for now, on your screen, here's your next question. 4 youngsters, Ankur, Dalveer, Mukund and Kabir, created a phenomenal idea, a sort of a taxi service also now, but basically moving items from place to place. Headquartered in Bangalore, they have now moved into 8 cities of our country with their service. What did they create for India? Aditya is taking a shot. Yes, Aditya, go ahead.
Black Buck.
Oh, minus 75 to you. Good try. The answer that I was looking for is dunzo. So you don't courier it anymore. You dunzo it from one house to another. Well, my hometown is Bengaluru and I've been here for a fair amount of time courtesy the pandemic. And I've even heard of people dunzoing food from their mom's house to their kid's house. That's interesting. Final question. Nikhil on 225, Shivansh on 150. The last one will make a decision on which way it goes as we go to the last question on your screens now. This lady is Suzanne Tata. She became the first woman in India to achieve something of a status that was otherwise achieved by a German. What are we talking about in India that she did as a first for a woman? 5 seconds running away. Shivansh not taking a chance on that. I was guessing Nikhil will keep quiet. Well, Shivansh knows the runner-up prize is a good one to get to. Well, ladies and gentlemen, she was the first ever woman to drive an automobile in India. Today, you got as many women on our roads as men, and that is how, of course, it would be and should be. But this lady pioneered it, went onto the streets and drove India's first car. 75 years of Indian independence. Salutations to a path-breaking lady. On the binge board, well, let's take a look as they keep their buzzers down. At the end of the Raipur edition of this quiz, it's Nikhil from IIM Raipur, who I think will just switch to get the binge board out there. There you are. On 225, he reached there, lost ground, went back, put the pressure on Shivansh. Shivansh unfortunately went for KFC a little too early and had to take a negative and couldn't bounce back from there. So leading the fray into the nation's top 32 from the Indian Institute of Management at Raipur, it will be Nikhil who goes through from this edition. But for the moment, ladies and gentlemen, to congratulate these 6 wonderful contestants in a lovely final from Chhattisgarh. With us here today, ladies and gentlemen, representing the young leadership of the Tata fraternity from the company and the city where this entire journey of a Tata Crucible began, the Chief of Marketing for Flat Products from Tata Steel. Our pleasure and privilege to have with us here today, Mr. Praveen Srivastava. Welcome to you.
Yeah, thanks, Giri sir. I always call you. It's always a pleasure to attend your quizzes. He has been part of many Tata Group events where he embarrasses all the Tata Group people asking questions about Tatas, and we look at each other looking for answers. Thankfully, he gives the answers later on. And obviously, he has big brain in Tata Crucible for 18 years. Sir, I was there 18 years ago in Tata Steel Hall when we started this. And I don't miss a chance to attend your quizzes. It's always very entertaining and informative both. Just a couple of words from the corporate world. How do we look at quizzers? There are 2 skills which you develop as a quizzer. One is to retrieve information quickly. As you saw today, he was giving you only 5 seconds. Many of these answers you know, but the ability to get it in 5 seconds, 10 seconds is what matters. And second is especially how Giri sir drafts his questions, that to connect unconnected things and to get to an answer. I think these 2 skills are very well used in current corporate world, and we look forward. And quiz is something which teaches you these 2 soft skills. So keep quizzing, continue quizzing, keep participate. My congrats to Nikhil for winning this. And obviously, congrats to all others to making it here. I was there throughout, and it was thoroughly entertaining. Thanks a lot, sir, once again.
So, ladies and gentlemen, after that riveting final, like I said, Shivansh, so close. He's going to tell himself, if I had 2 more answers, I would have got there. With 150, he finishes runner-up. Congratulations to you, young man. Very well played from NIT Raipur. He's still got many years, probably still in academics as well. Who knows? One day he may be IIM Raipur and may win and erase the runner-up in his profile. But ladies and gentlemen, clinical, calm, took the risks when it was required, played a very good game to get to the nation's top 24 from IIM Raipur. Our champion here today, Nikhil. Congratulations to you, Nikhil. Well played. So we'll go back to Mr. Srivastava for a last word from him to our winners before we let him go. All yours, Praveen.
Yeah, no, congrats once again. As I said, quizzing, don't leave quizzing. Quizzing will always help you throughout your life, especially most of you will be joining corporate world sooner or later. And look forward to other rounds and the finals. It's a not to miss event in my calendar.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. So, ladies and gentlemen, that riveting final there, taking Nikhil from IIM Raipur into the nation's top 24. We will be back with you with another cluster with all the exciting contestants. But till then, from Rashmi Furtado, from me, Giri Pig Brain, truly appreciate your presence. Do take care. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.